The weight of the homemade pumpkin pie steadies my trembling hands as I stand at the threshold of my parents' elegant suburban home. Through the leaded glass panels beside the front door, I glimpse a kaleidoscope of movement, 24 relatives mingling beneath the warm glow of my mother's prized crystal chandelier. For a fleeting moment, I consider turning around, driving back to my apartment, and spending Thanksgiving with a frozen dinner and mindless television instead. But then my father spots me through the glass. There she is. His voice booms as he swings the door open wide. Our number cruncher has arrived. I force a smile and step inside, instantly wrapped in the comforting aroma of sage and roasted turkey. My simple knee-length teal dress suddenly feels out of place amid the glittering magazine-worthy perfection of my mother's decor. "Oh, you brought dessert," Mom says, taking the pie from my hands with a perfunctory kiss on my cheek. Her eyes flick past me toward the driveway. "Is that all you brought?" "Just me and the pie," I reply, trying to keep my tone light, made from scratch. Dad pats my shoulder. "She works with numbers. Very stable job. Always punctual?" The words land like a familiar backhanded compliment. Always punctual, always reliable, always boring. I've heard variations of this all my life. Mom's phone chimes and her face lights up. "That's your sister. She's running a little late." 30 minutes and counting, I murmur. But no one hears me as I'm gently herded toward the living room, where relatives cluster with drinks and hors d'oeuvres. Uncle Warren lifts his glass. The financial professional arrives. "How's life balancing those books? I'm an internal auditor, actually." I correct, accepting a flute of champagne from a passing tray. "And business is." A sudden hush falls over the room like a velvet curtain. Conversations freeze mid-sentence. Heads turn toward the entryway. My sister has arrived. Marissa glides in 30 minutes late, and looking as though she's stepped straight off a magazine cover. Her camel Max Mara coat, the same one I spotted in last month's Vogue, drapes perfectly over her shoulders. The Prada handbag dangling from her wrist probably costs more than my monthly rent. "Sorry I'm late," she announces, not sounding the least bit sorry. "The traffic was absolutely brutal." Mom rushes forward, her face lighting up with a pride she's never shown when introducing me. "You look stunning, sweetheart." She smooths a hand over the sleeve of Marissa's coat. "Is this new?" Marissa preens. "Just picked it up last weekend." The color called to me. "You work so hard," Mom gushes. "You deserve to treat yourself." I swallow hard and drain my champagne in one gulp. The irony burns worse than the bubbles. Marissa hasn't held a steady job in 3 years, just a string of consulting gigs that always sound impressive, but never seem to last. Dinner is called before I can escape for a refill. I end up seated between Cousin Lauren and Uncle Warren's new girlfriend, whose name I've already forgotten. Across the table, Marissa holds court, animated and radiant, recounting tales of her latest business venture involving social media and luxury brands. During a lull, Lauren leans closer. "I've been meaning to ask you something about my student loans," she whispers. "The interest is killing me, and I wondered if you might have some advice about restructuring." I lean in, grateful for a chance to be useful. "Actually, there's a program I just read about that could help. If your income is below a certain threshold." Not everyone wants to hear about math at dinner. Dear Mom cuts in from 3 seats away, her hearing suddenly sharp. She smiles sweetly at Lauren. "Why don't you ask Marissa? She's great with money." The table goes silent. My fork hovers over untouched turkey. Marissa's laugh tinkles like ice in a crystal glass. "Oh, she's always crunching numbers," she says, swirling her wine. "And always short on cash, it seems." Heat floods my face. I manage my money just fine. "Do you?" Marissa arches one perfect eyebrow. "Then why are you always asking for loans?" The words hit like a slap. The air seems to drop 10 degrees. 23 pairs of eyes swing between us, following each volley like spectators at a tennis match. "I've never asked you for money." I say, my voice steady despite the pounding in my ears. Not once. Please. Marissa rolls her eyes dramatically. You should stop begging for money. It's embarrassing. The audacity of her lie rings in my ears. No one speaks. No one defends me. Not even our parents, who know perfectly well which direction the money has always flowed. Speaking of embarrassing, Dad interjects with forced cheer. Did anyone catch the Seahawks game last Sunday? That fourth quarter was something else. Just like that, conversation lurches forward, leaving my humiliation behind, like roadkill no one wants to acknowledge. I sit frozen, transported back to when I was 10 years old, emptying my piggy bank to help buy Marissa a dance costume. Your sister needs it more than you do, Mom had said, patting my head. She has the recital coming up. You're the practical one. The practical one. The responsible one. The one expected to sacrifice. I excuse myself when dessert is served, slipping quietly into the powder room. My hands tremble as I lock the door behind me, but my mind has never been clearer. I pull out my phone and open my banking app, staring at the 5 recurring payments to accounts with Marissa's name attached. 5 years. $52,800, an average of $880 a month, car insurance, credit card minimums, personal loan payments. The evidence of my sister's financial vampirism glows on my screen in neat, orderly rows, exactly how an auditor would keep them. Without hesitation, I select each payment and cancel them all. One by one, confirmation messages appear. Recurring payment canceled. Recurring payment canceled. Recurring payment canceled. I splash cold water on my face, then blot it dry with one of Mom's decorative guest towels. When I return to the dining room, my pumpkin pie sits in the center of the table, neat slices missing from its perfect crust. There you are, Mom says. We started without you. That's fine. I slide back into my seat, a strange calm washing over me. I'm not really hungry for dessert anyway. My phone vibrates in my pocket, confirmation notices from my bank. The cancellations are complete. More coffee. Skyla, Dad asks, pot in hand. I smile and extend my cup. Yes, I think I'll have a second helping. For the first time in 5 years, I will not be paying for my sister's life tonight. For the first time in forever, I'm choosing myself, and it feels like the first breath after nearly drowning. Numbers don't lie. People do. The next morning, sunlight filters through the blinds of my modest one-bedroom apartment. I open my laptop at the small desk wedged between the kitchen and living room. The coffee maker gurgles softly behind me, its familiar rhythm steadying my hands as I create a new spreadsheet. Payment history, Marissa Cole. I type, the header fingers moving with the precision that makes me valuable at work. Each keystroke feels like reclaiming a piece of myself. Pulling up my banking records, I begin copying every payment I've made to my sister over the past 5 years. The spreadsheet grows row by row, an archaeological dig through my financial sacrifices. 3 separate credit card payments every month. The personal loan that was supposed to be just until her commission comes through. The car insurance for the luxury SUV she absolutely needed for client meetings that never materialized. The total appears at the bottom of the column, $52,800. The number stares back at me, less a testament to generosity than to gullibility. Nearly $900 every month more than my own car payment funneled away to keep Marissa's glossy illusion intact. I save the document to 3 separate cloud folders. Evidence secured. I take another slow sip of coffee. My phone buzzes again. Marissa's name flashes across the screen for the 16th time since dawn. I silence it without opening the message, but the notifications keep rolling in. Something's wrong with the payments. Call me now. Did you change banks? Payment failed? What did you do? The credit card company called. Fix this. Autopay declined. Call me back. Insufficient funds. What's happening? The texts spiral from confusion to panic to fury, punctuation multiplying with her desperation. 15 missed calls. Over 30 messages in less than 24 hours. I turn the phone face down and keep typing. By mid-afternoon, the inevitable happens. My mother's name lights up the screen. I answer on the third ring. Skyla, what's going on? Marissa says you're refusing to help her with something. Her voice carries that familiar edge of disappointment, as if I'm 10 years old again, hoarding birthday money instead of sharing. I've been paying her bills for 5 years, Mom. My voice sounds steadier than I've ever heard it. She told everyone at Thanksgiving that I begged her for money, so I stopped. A sharp inhale. That's not what she meant. You know how Marissa gets when she's nervous. She exaggerates. It wasn't an exaggeration. It was a lie. And everyone believed her. You're being dramatic. Family helps family. I did help. For 5 years. That's $52,800 of my money. There's a long silence then, a faint rustling as the phone changes hands. Skyla. It's Dad. His voice sounds older, somehow heavier. What's this about money? Your sister says you've cut her off without warning. Did she tell you why she needs my money every month? She's been having cash flow problems with her business. You know that. Dad? She doesn't have a business. She hasn't had steady work in 3 years. Another pause stretches out brittle and cold. Finally, he sighs. You've changed, he says quietly. You used to be kind. The words strike deeper than I expect, but clarity rises to meet the sting. I haven't changed, I say evenly. I just stopped letting people use my kindness as their safety net. The silence that follows is stunned brittle. I can almost hear them recalibrating, realizing for the first time that our family dynamic might look different from another angle. The call ends awkwardly, punctuated by promises to talk about this later, which we all know really means we hope you'll come to your senses. I've barely set the phone down when it rings again. Lauren. Hey, just checking in. You left Thanksgiving so suddenly? Her voice trails off, probing gently for gossip. It was a difficult evening, I reply carefully. Marissa's been messaging everyone about money problems. Something about you backing out of a loan. A dry laugh escapes before I can stop it. I didn't back out of a loan. I stopped making her monthly payments after 5 years of paying her bills. Wait, you've been paying her bills? But she has that huge house in Bellevue. The surprise in her voice confirms what I already suspected. No one knew. For years, Marissa had maintained her shimmering image of success while quietly siphoning off my income. How much are we talking about? Lauren asks. $52,800. Holy shut, Skyla. That's... She pauses. No wonder you always turn down family trips. A lump catches in my throat. All those years of excuses, work commitments, saving for a house, needing to stay available for emergencies. When the truth was simpler and uglier, I couldn't afford both Marissa's lifestyle and my own existence in the same picture. After Lauren hangs up promising a discretion, I know she won't keep. My phone vibrates again. A text from cousin Michael. About time someone stood up to the golden child. The truth is already spreading, reshaping 5 years of family gatherings. In hindsight, those dinners, where Marissa arrived draped in designer labels while I wore the same black dress with a different scarf. Where she uncorked imported wine while I brought homemade pie because it was cheaper. Where she boasted about exclusive resorts while I talked about staycations. I close the spreadsheet and shut my laptop. The documentation is complete. The payments are canceled. The truth is free. For the first time in 5 years, all $880 of my monthly Marissa payment will stay in my account. The thought doesn't bring the triumph I expected, just a quiet, hollow kind of relief. Like removing a splinter that's been buried so long you've learned to move carefully around the pain. I glance at my phone. The notification count has climbed to 43. Tomorrow will bring more calls, more guilt, more pressure. But tonight, the numbers are clear. And numbers, unlike sisters, don't lie. The family group chat notification lights up my phone at 6:47 a.m. the next morning. I squint at the screen, still warm under my comforter, and immediately wish I hadn't looked. Please keep Skyla in your prayers during this difficult time. Marissa's message reads, mental health struggles can manifest in many ways, including financial jealousy and irrational behavior. I stare at the ceiling, counting the gentle popcorn ridges to keep from hurling my phone across the room. Within seconds, responses flood in. Oh no, what happened? Sending love. Skyla, we're here for you. Should we organize a care package? Nobody asks what prompted this announcement. Nobody questions its validity. My sister's word is gospel, and I am suddenly cast as the unstable family member having a breakdown. My mother calls within minutes. Skyla Marie Thompson. Her voice carries that particular tone reserved for grave disappointments. You need to fix this before Thanksgiving is completely ruined. Fix what exactly? I ask, sliding my feet into slippers, padding toward my kitchen to start coffee. Don't play dumb. Marissa is devastated. Your father can barely look at the phone when she texts about you. She pauses. We raised you better than this. The coffee maker gurgles as I measure grounds with practiced precision. Did you ask Marissa exactly what I've done? She showed me the bank notifications. All those payments suddenly canceled. Mother's voice drops to an accusatory whisper. She has bills, Skyla. Responsibilities. So do I. The words emerge stronger than I intended. This isn't like you, she continues. The daughter I raised would never abandon her sister. I watch coffee drip steadily into the pot, black and clarifying. The daughter you raised has been paying Marissa's bills for 5 years while she told everyone I begged her for money. Silence stretches between us, taut as a wire. I'm going to be late for work. I interrupt an unprecedented act of rebellion. Give Dad my love. I end the call before she can respond. I open Facebook to find Marissa's latest performance, a tastefully filtered photo of her staring pensively out a window captioned, "Heartbroken when family members struggle with jealousy. Praying for healing during this difficult time." 27 sympathetic comments already. I close the app without responding and finish getting ready for work. When I arrive at the office, something unexpected happens. I work better than I have in months. Client documentation flows through my review process with unusual efficiency. Spreadsheets that normally require double-checking seem crystal clear on first pass. You seem more focused lately, my manager comments during our afternoon check-in. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. What I'm doing is keeping an extra $880 a month in my bank account and sleeping through the night for the first time in years. That evening, I bought a new desk for my home office, a solid oak piece I'd been eyeing for months but could never justify while financing Marissa's lifestyle. As I type in my credit card information, I feel none of the familiar anxiety that used to accompany spending on myself. No mental math. No quick recalculations of how this purchase might affect my ability to cover Marissa's car insurance or her minimum credit card payments. It hits me. Then, I haven't been living below my means out of frugality or financial discipline. I've been doing it to sustain my sister's excess. The realization settles heavy in my stomach, sharp and sobering. 3 days later, my resolve faces its first test. Marissa appears unannounced in the lobby of my office building. I see her through the glass doors as I return from lunch, designer sunglasses perched on her head, flawless makeup, and hair artfully tousled to suggest chaos without losing control. Her outfit walks the fine line between luxury and desperation, the kind of ensemble meant to look effortless but curated for maximum sympathy. "How could you abandon me like this?" she cries the instant I step inside her, voice carrying across the polished marble floor. Perfectly formed tears stream down her cheeks without smudging her mascara. "After everything I've done for you," heads turn. Coworkers slow their steps, pretending not to watch while clearly listening. I keep my voice calm and low. "This isn't the place to discuss your financial problems, Marissa." Financial problems. She laughs, a sharp, brittle sound that echoes through the lobby. You're the one who's always needed my help, and now when I need you just temporarily, you cut me off completely. A nearby security guard shifts, uncertain whether to intervene. Call me when you're ready to talk about repayment plans, I say quietly. Repayment. The word detonates between us like a grenade with the pin pulled. Her tears vanish instantly. The transformation is almost theatrical, wounded victim giving way to cold strategist the moment her manipulation fails. This isn't over. She hisses, her voice suddenly smooth and composed. Then she turns, stiletto heels striking the marble in sharp, defiant beats as she strides toward the revolving doors. I watch her go, feeling a calm I've never known before. What should have been a shattering confrontation instead feels like closure, clean, final, and long overdue. Saturday brings unexpected support. Lauren arrives at my apartment door bearing lunch from my favorite deli and a sympathetic smile. You okay? She asks, unpacking sandwiches and containers of soup at my small dining table. Everyone's talking about what happened. What version are they discussing? I ask, pulling plates from my cabinet. Lauren shakes her head. The real story is getting out. Michael called me after talking to your dad. Is it true Marissa owes you over $50,000, $52,800, I confirm. But her total debt is closer to $96,000 as far as I can tell. Lauren's sandwich halts midway to her mouth. $96,000, how is that possible? They live in that beautiful house in Bellevue. Mortgage to the limit, I reply. Plus, 3 maxed credit cards, 2 personal loans, and the car lease that's 3 months behind. I've been covering the minimum payments for years. She was using you this whole time. Lauren's voice turns hard with anger, all while acting like the successful one. My phone buzzes with a notification. The younger cousins have created a new group chat named Team Skyla, without Marissa or my parents included. I'm still absorbing this development when my phone rings with an unfamiliar number. I almost decline until Lauren glances at the screen. That's Evan's cell, she says, eyes widening. Marissa's husband. I accept the call, putting it on speaker. Skyla. Evan's voice sounds strained. We need to talk. I'm listening, I say. I had no idea about any of this, he begins. She hid everything. The payments, the debt, all of it. The raw honesty in his voice catches me off guard. Thank you for helping her quietly all these years. I thought we were stable, but we've been living beyond our means to keep up appearances with the neighbors. I meet Lauren's astonished gaze across the table. We're not as financially secure as everyone believes, Evan confesses. Not even close. A strange weightlessness settles over me. For years, I believed I was the only one who saw Marissa clearly. Now others are beginning to glimpse behind the curtain. I hope you can help her find better ways to cope, I say finally. Lauren squeezes my hand across the table as the call ends. For the first time in years, I'm not alone in my understanding of Marissa. And for the first time in my life, I'm not expected to be the one who fixes everything. That night, the knock comes at 11:42 p.m. 3 heavy blows that shake the hinges. I know who it is, before I even reach the door. Marissa stands beneath the harsh fluorescent light of the hallway, arms wrapped tightly around herself. Her hair hangs limp around her face, stripped of its usual gloss. No makeup, faded jeans, a plain cotton t-shirt, clothes I've never seen her wear before. I open the door but don't move aside. It's nearly midnight. Please, she whispers, voice cracking. I'm falling apart, Sky. Evan knows everything. For an instant, I see her as she once was, the little girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, trembling, seeking comfort from her practical big sister who was never afraid of the noise. But the memory fades, replaced by another Thanksgiving dinner, her smirk, her voice dripping with condescension. You should stop begging for money. It's embarrassing. Still, I step aside. Come in. She slips past me and begins pacing the living room like a trapped animal. The credit card companies keep calling. I've blocked 8 different numbers, but they just use new ones. And the BMW? Her voice catches. They're repossessing it next week. I offer her a glass of water. She glances at it, disappointment flickering across her face when she realizes it isn't wine. Mom and Dad are heartbroken, she says, finally clutching the glass but not drinking. You're tearing the family apart with this vendetta? I sit on the couch watching her performance with a strange detachment. If I lose everything, it's on you. She presses on, her tone sharpening. Is that what you want? To see me fail? I wait long enough for the theatrics to lose momentum, for her dramatic pauses to stretch into uneasy silence. Then I speak. I've helped you for 5 years, Marissa. She nods quickly, seizing the cue. And I'm so grateful. That's why I don't understand why you'd stop now when I need you most. I let the silence breathe between us, deliberate and heavy. That's $52,800, I say quietly. I have records of every payment. Her face hardens, instantly pleading, melting into anger. It wasn't that much. You're exaggerating to make me look bad. Without a word, I open my laptop on the coffee table between us. The screen illuminates with a spreadsheet, each row a payment, each column a category. Dates, amounts, account numbers, notes documenting her calls, her excuses, her promises to pay me back. Next month for sure this time. 5 years of financial hemorrhaging meticulously documented in the language I know best, numbers that don't lie. This is... She stumbled over her words. You're doing this to make yourself look better. You always need to be the perfect one. When I didn't respond, she switched tactics. You know I have expenses you don't. The country club fees alone? She stopped herself, realizing how that sounded. You make so much more than me. She tried instead, her voice rising. You don't understand what it's like to struggle. I make $185,000 a year, I said quietly. Her eyes widened slightly. She had clearly assumed much less. I live in this 1-bedroom apartment so I could afford to pay your bills. The silence that followed felt like the first honest moment we'd shared in years. Her mouth opened, then closed again, searching for a new angle, a fresh line of persuasion. But we're sisters, she finally said, her voice small. Family helps family. I stood and walked to the door, opening it once more. You had 5 years, Marissa. I paid $52,000 of your debt. That's enough. She grabbed her purse, shoulders tight with indignation. At the threshold, she turned, eyes narrowed. You're heartless, she hissed. You'll regret this. No, I said, meeting her gaze without flinching. You should regret confusing someone's compassion with obligation. The door closed between us with a soft final click. 2 hours later, my mother called. Her voice carried a brittle calm, the kind that takes effort to maintain. Marissa says you refuse to help. She's going through so much right now. Did she tell you how much I've already helped her? She mentioned some small loans Mom hedged. $52,000 over 5 years isn't small, Mom. The sharp inhale on the other end said more than words could. Then Dad's voice replaced hers, lower, rougher. 52,000? That can't be right. I can email you the documentation, I said, glancing at the draft already sitting in my inbox. Why would you keep giving her money all this time if she wasn't? Being honest, I finished for him. Because she's family. And you taught me that family helps family, no matter what. The silence that followed was both vindication and heartbreak, proof that they finally understood, and that it cost all of us something. Later that night, the texts began. From the old guard came the guilt, Uncle Warren. Your sister is devastated. Where's your compassion, Aunt Patricia? The family forgives. Period. This cold shoulder is beneath you. But then came the others. Cousin Michael. About damn time someone stood up to her. Call if you need to talk. Lauren. Just heard the real story. We're all behind you. Then a ping from the extended family group chat. I braced myself for another wave of guilt, but instead a message from Evan. Thank you all for your concern. Marissa and I are working through some financial difficulties that have come to light. We ask for your understanding during this time. And Skyla, thank you for your past support. It wasn't acknowledged properly. I stare at the screen for a long time. The words aren't an apology, not really, but they're enough. The old family constellation Marissa at its radiant center, me orbiting quietly as the dependable practical moon has finally begun to crack. The light is shifting, and for once, it's shining somewhere new. Thanksgiving dinner has become the dividing line in our family history, before the truth and after. My father calls back, his voice subdued. I've been looking at these statements you sent. All these years you've been... He trails off, unable to complete the thought that his golden child has been lying while his practical one has been sacrificing. We should talk, he finally says. All of us. Maybe Sunday dinner. Not yet. I answer, surprising myself with the boundary. I need some time. Of course, he says quickly, too quickly. Whatever you need. The words sound strange coming from him, from anyone in my family, really. Whatever I need has never been the priority before. I curl up on my couch, wrapped in the quilt my grandmother made, the one Marissa always said was too old-fashioned for her taste. My apartment feels different tonight, not larger or more luxurious, but somehow more mine. For the first time in 5 years, the weight of secrecy and obligation has lifted. The money that funded Marissa's carefully curated life will now fund my authentic one. On my coffee table, the spreadsheet still glows on my laptop screen. 5 years of payments, each one a brick in the wall between who I was and who I'm becoming. I close the laptop and the room falls into darkness except for the gentle city light filtering through my blinds. Tomorrow will bring more calls, more family members taking sides, more pressure to return to my familiar role. But tonight, in the quiet aftermath of finally speaking my truth, I find something unexpected: peace. The text from Evan glows ominously on my phone screen a week later. Family meeting. Our house. Tomorrow at 2. Just parents, you, and a few others. This needs to end. I stare at the words for a full minute, my stomach tightening. In the week since I confronted Marissa in my apartment, the family has fractured into opposing camps. Mother still calls daily with tearful pleas. Father has retreated into uncharacteristic silence. Cousins message their support or condemnation depending on which version of events they believe. What surprises me is Evan's sudden involvement. In 6 years of marriage to my sister, he's always remained pleasantly detached from family drama. When I arrive at their home, notably smaller than what Mother had led everyone to believe, Evan opens the door before I knock. His normally easygoing expression is replaced by something harder, more determined. Thank you for coming, he says, voice low. This won't be easy. The living room feels like a courtroom awaiting trial. Mother and father sit stiffly on matching armchairs. Uncle Warren occupies one end of the sofa beside Aunt Patricia, and grandmother, whose presence signals the gravity of the situation. Marissa is nowhere in sight. Where's... I begin. She'll join us shortly. Evan interrupts, gesturing toward the empty chair clearly positioned as the focal point. Please sit. I choose the corner of the sofa instead, maintaining distance from the emotional blast zone. The air feels charged with unspoken accusations. Mother attempts a weak smile. This is unnecessary. Family disagreements should stay private. Not this one. Evan says, his voice firm as he places a thick manila folder on the coffee table. Not anymore. The sound of a door closing echoes from the hallway. Marissa enters, her face stripped of makeup, wearing plain jeans and a beige sweater I've never seen before. No designer labels, no statement jewelry. Her eyes are red-rimmed but dry. Sit down, Marissa, Evan says without looking at her. She perches on the edge of the empty chair, hands folded tightly in her lap. Evan stands before us, shoulders squared. I've asked you here because it's time everyone understood exactly what's been happening. He opens the folder. Over the past years, Marissa has accumulated personal debt totaling $96,500. Mother gasps. Father's head snaps up. That includes the $50,800 that Skyla has been paying in secret for 5 years. Evan continues. The money that Marissa told me came from a trust fund from grandmother. Grandmother's sharp intake of breath cuts through the room. I never set up any such thing. I know that now. Evan spreads credit card statements across the table. These show regular purchases from Nordstrom, Saks, Neiman Marcus designer clothes, jewelry, handbags. Things to maintain the appearance of success while we were quietly drowning. Father leans forward, studying the papers with growing disbelief. This doesn't sound like the daughter we raised. I needed those things, Marissa whispers. Everyone expected me to be successful. Mother reaches toward her. Sweetheart, is this all true? The question hangs in the air the first time in 30 years I've heard Mother question Marissa's version of events. Marissa's careful composure crumbles. Tears spill down her cheeks. I just wanted everyone to be proud of me. By lying, by stealing from your sister. Aunt Patricia's voice cuts like a blade. I was going to pay her back, Marissa protests weakly. When? Evan asks. With what money? You haven't held a steady job in 3 years? The silence that follows feels like a physical weight. I watch my family absorb the truth they've spent years avoiding. Evan straightens his voice, calm but resolute. Things will change starting today. We're selling the Range Rover. The Maldives vacation is canceled. Marissa starts working 40 hours a week at Belinda's boutique next Monday, and we begin financial counseling on Thursday. Mother's face drains of color, but that's so extreme. It's necessary, Evan replies. And long overdue. Father turns toward me, eyes clouded with something I've rarely seen: genuine regret. We should have seen it sooner, he says quietly. I'm sorry, Skyla. The words I've waited decades to hear land softly without the catharsis I imagined. I nod once, accepting, but not absolving. For the first time in my memory, I sit in the middle of a family crisis without being expected to fix it. I am neither savior nor villain, simply present. The strange freedom of that realization catches in my throat. The next 6 months unfold in measured steps. Family gossip shifts as the full story surfaces. Marissa works retail after years of leisure, returning home each night with sore feet and humbled eyes. Evan manages their finances, now maintaining spreadsheets that mirror the precision of my own. When Mother calls, her tone carries a new hesitancy, as though she's learning to navigate uncharted ground. Father asks about my investments, listening with genuine interest for once. Then one Thursday morning in May, my phone pings. Deposit $600. A text follows. It'll take years, but I'll pay you back. M. I stare at the screen, remembering the Thanksgiving table where she accused me of begging. The powder room where I drew my first boundary. The spreadsheet that documented 5 years of quiet sacrifice. My fingers hover over the keyboard. A dozen responses form and dissolve before I settle on 2 words. Received. Thank you. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But perhaps a door left slightly open in a wall I finally had the right to build. The weight of the pumpkin-scented candle steadies my hands as I stand at the threshold of Evan and Marissa's downsized Tudor-style home. Through the leaded glass panels flanking the front door, I glimpse modest Thanksgiving decorations, a far cry from the opulent displays at our parents' home last year. For a moment, I consider turning around, driving back to my apartment, and spending the holiday alone with a good book. But then I spot my father through the glass, and our eyes meet. 1 year has transformed more than just my living space. My apartment now boasts a plush sectional couch in rich burgundy, replacing the threadbare hand-me-down I'd tolerated for years. My home office gleams with a proper desk instead of the wobbly card table where I'd managed my finances and Marissa's for half a decade. The $880 monthly payment that once disappeared into my sister's bottomless needs now flows into an investment account showing 12% growth. Dad opens the door before I can knock. "There she is," he says, but his voice lacks the booming quality I remember from childhood. Instead, there's something I've never heard before: respect. "Happy Thanksgiving." I step inside, breathing in the aroma of roasting turkey. My simple dress, a knee-length in deep forest green, feels perfectly adequate for this gathering. "Oh, you're right on time," Mom says, kissing my cheek without the usual perfunctory feel. "Marissa's just about to serve." The dining room table, set simply with white plates and cloth napkins, hosts only 8 place settings instead of last year's 24. No crystal chandelier hangs overhead, just a modest pendant light illuminating faces I now recognize as family rather than an audience. Marissa emerges from the kitchen wearing jeans and a cream-colored sweater. No designer labels visible, no statement jewelry catching the light. Her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, she carries a platter of sliced turkey with steady hands. "Everything looks wonderful," I say, meaning it. Marissa's smile contains something new: humility. "Thanks for coming." When everyone is seated, Evan proposes a toast. All eyes turn to him, but he gestures toward Marissa, who rises slowly. She lifts her water glass. "To a family who tells us the truth, even when it hurts." My throat tightens unexpectedly. I raise my glass in acknowledgement, not ready for full reconciliation, but open to this fragile, honest beginning. Throughout dinner, conversation flows without the usual masks. Uncle Warren speaks openly about his recent heart surgery, instead of brushing it off. Lauren shares her promotion without apologizing for her success. My parents admit their struggles with retirement planning, no longer pretending everything is fine. No one performs. No one competes. We simply exist together in truth. Later, back in my apartment, I open my laptop out of habit. But I no longer check the spreadsheet daily. 12 payments from Marissa have arrived on time every month. I scroll through my phone and delete the old pleading messages I once kept as proof, my digital armor against gaslighting. They're unnecessary now. The truth has surfaced and settled quiet as dust after a storm. I open my journal and write $52,800. If she were a stranger, I would have stopped years ago. But she was my sister, or at least I thought she was. I pause, considering what's truly changed. The monthly deposits aren't just restitution, they're acknowledgement that my boundaries matter, that my sacrifices weren't invisible. My worth was never dependent on family approval, though it took me 30 years to learn that. Boundaries aren't cruelty, they're self-respect. I close the journal feeling neither triumph nor regret, just clarity. Sometimes kindness means knowing when to stop. You can't save someone who keeps sinking, especially when they're the one pulling you under. The question lingers in the quiet of my apartment. If you were in my place, what would you have done? Cut them off as I did. Give one more chance because they're family. Take legal action to recover what was lost. Where do you draw the line between helping and being used?